Okay, Alexandra, let's talk about Bill Barr, who gave a press conference yesterday, and he was talking about the charges brought up against another one of the suspected terrorist bombers of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, 32 years ago, and he was talking about how the DOJ is finally putting charges against one of the bombers, a third bomber that they hadn't gotten yet. But obviously, when the press was ready to give their questions, it focused more on the machines, the November 3rd voting machines, and special counsel for Hunter Biden, as well as Trump pardoning himself. And just to wrap it up real simply, Bill Barr said that he sees no need to appoint a special counsel for Hunter Biden. He also said, I quote, he has no plan to do so. I have no plan to do so, he said. He says that he's not going to comment on Trump pardoning Trump. He just flat out said, I'm not going to comment on that. And he also said that he sees no basis for seizing machines, the federal government for seizing machines that were used on November 3rd during the vote. And well, okay. I mean, this is Bill Barr. I mean, to me, saying, "Look, I'm just not gonna get involved in any of this stuff. I'm on my way out. I did what McConnell told me to do," and I say that kind of jokingly a little, but I came with the swamp. I did what the swamp wanted me to do, and now I'm out, and I'm not going to do anything more.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I have to say, some of the things he said, well, I can say, well, he's the outgoing Attorney General. He has his opinions. I may not agree with them, but those are his opinions. On one issue, I thought he was completely wrong. I mean, obviously and transparently wrong. And that is on the Hunter Biden issue. Now, can I explain why? I mean, Hunter Biden is the son of Joe Biden, who is the president of the United States. Joe Biden appoints the Attorney General. The Attorney General has to supervise investigations that are being carried out by the Justice Department. The investigations of Hunter Biden are being carried out by the U.S. Attorney for Delaware. He is ultimately accountable to the Attorney General, who is responsible to the President of the United States. In other words, the U.S. Attorney of Delaware is now investigating the son of his ultimate boss. Now, that is an extremely difficult position to be in. It seems to me there is a clear potential conflict of interest there. Now, what is Joe Biden doing? He is going out, speaking up, and supporting his son. Now, I don't criticize him for that. I think that's entirely the right and proper thing for a father to be doing in connection with his son. But the very fact that Joe Biden is doing it is a sign that he is inevitably, as president of the United States, saying things which must, however indirectly, interfere with the conduct of the investigation, because the U.S. Attorney for Delaware knows that his ultimate boss, the President of the United States, believes that this investigation that is being conducted, I believe now that there's either 3 or 4 investigations that are being conducted into his son, are somehow wrong, and that they're not going to prove anything. Now, I think, given the tensions there, even if there is complete good faith on everybody's part, given the potential for a conflict of interest there, it seems to me that this thing cries out for special counsel. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Biden intends to pick up the telephone and speak to Sally Yates, and assuming she becomes Attorney General, whoever becomes Attorney General, getting her then to talk to the U.S. Attorney in Delaware and getting that person to then stop the investigation. I'm not saying that's his intention. I'm not saying the U.S. Attorney in Delaware is going to go around saying to himself, well, Joe Biden is telling me to do this, so I'm going to do that in response. The point is, even if these people are all behaving in good faith, there is the appearance of a conflict of interest, and that justifies the appointment to special counsel. It doesn't justify it, it requires it. Bear in mind that Jeff Sessions, as Attorney General, refused to supervise Mueller and Mueller's investigation because there was an appearance of a conflict of interest, because Jeff Sessions had had a brief conversation with the Russian ambassador. That's all he did. And yet he felt that was enough to create an appearance of a conflict for him not to be involved in supervising the Russiagate investigation at all. How much greater is this conflict of interest or appearance of a conflict of interest in this case? Now, that's just a question of appearance. If, as many people believe, and as there is some evidence, including evidence from witnesses like Tony Bobulinski, Joe Biden is not talking in good faith, is actually shielding his son, in part because he is shielding himself, because Joe Biden was familiar with what his son was doing and was receiving benefits from his son's activities. Remember, that is what Tony Bobulinski, who is a credible witness, said. Then, of course, we go beyond the question of good faith. We enter the world of bad faith, and that makes it even more imperative that there should be special counsel. Now, for Barr to come round and say that he doesn't see the need for special counsel in this situation, for Barr to also say that he has, no plan to appoint one, I find that astonishing. And I hope that whoever takes over from him in the next few weeks, because he's leaving on after Christmas, revisits this issue and takes a different view. To be very clear, I'm not by any means saying that if special counsel is appointed, Joe Biden might not sack him. But I think in order to conduct this investigation properly, special counsel must be appointed. It seems to me obvious. It's a no-brainer. And for Barr to say otherwise, it seems to me that he's just now, frankly, causing trouble for his boss, the person who appointed him, Donald Trump, who is still the president of the United States.
Yeah, I think the mask is now completely off of Barr now. I mean, we know exactly why he was, what he was doing as Attorney General, and he knew about all these things going back to, I believe you could say 2018. He knew about everything that was going on, and he did nothing. And, no one's going to look into this. I think that's becoming, obviously, it's crystal clear that the only person they have in place right now is Duran. And I imagine, it's just a speculation, I imagine he's in place to just cause some trouble for Biden in order for McConnell and the Democrats to clean up in the House in 2022, and perhaps for the Democrats to also use Durham to usher in Kamala. I don't know how the Democrats will use Durham as well. But I think he has his guy in place. He put him in there in October, and he's completed his task. There's nothing else to see, do, or hear anything according to Barr. I'm done. I did what I had to do. I suppressed information from the voting public. I didn't bring up the Hunter laptop, even though I had it for God knows how long. And I appointed Durham without telling anybody that I appointed Durham for the specific goal of derailing a Biden presidency, which will help the Republican establishment and may benefit Pelosi if she wants to wield the Durham investigation to achieve her means as well. That's it. I mean, Barr's essentially wrapped up his tasks.
Well, indeed. I mean, can I just say, first of all, I agree with you about the Biden investigations. I predict that sometime around midsummer, we will be hearing how, the investigations are being wound down. Either there will be a finding that there was no wrongdoing and no case to bring forward, or that there was, certain minor transgressions, and there will be a collusive charge and confession, with Hunter Biden being given a slap on the wrist. I'm pretty sure that's where that investigation is going.
Can I interrupt you just 1 second? Or maybe, just going off your thoughts before I forget, or maybe it may be used by the Democrats to hold leverage over Biden, the DNC or the power. They may use it behind the scenes.
I entirely, well, that's entirely possible, and I entirely agree. And you're quite right. It's perfect material to use on someone who's been compromised. So they could say always, well, look, there's all this information, we have it there. These investigations have been ended, but of course they can always restart on a new basis if you don't actually do the sort of things we want, like retire and make way for Kamala. That's a possibility. We mustn't discount it. I think it's entirely plausible and very likely. But what I am sure now is not going to happen is a proper exposure of all the things that Hunter Biden was doing. Unless, of course, special counsel is appointed by the person who is in charge of the Justice Department in the weeks running up to the inauguration. But of course, there is no guarantee that that person will be allowed to remain in place if Biden becomes president, because Biden will be able to sack that person and say, well, I'm not acting inappropriately, I'm not obstructing justice in any way, because Donald Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, actually said there was no need for special counsel in the first place. So you see how much damage these comments and this decision has made. If Bill Barr had simply said, look, I'm not going to make a decision about that now, I'm due to leave by Christmas, I leave it to the next person who succeeds me to make a decision whether special counsel should be appointed or not, well, that would have been an acceptable statement to have made. By saying that he saw no need for special counsel, he has effectively foreclosed that option, or at least tried to foreclose it. Now, Barr, on the subject of Durham, has had more to say. And by the way, I agree with you. I think Durham is going to be activated to be used for all sorts of, for the McConnell side of the Republican Party. They're definitely going to use him going forward. But interestingly enough, Barr also made comments about the Durham investigation. And what he said essentially is that the Durham investigation is only going to look at the FBI. It's not going to concern itself with what the CIA had done, because Barr has decided that the CIA did nothing wrong. Now, again, I find that incredible to believe. And I think limiting Durham's investigation in that way, restricting it in advance of any report, is astonishing. If Durham were given free access, given a blank check to investigate everybody, the entire intelligence community, and then were to file a report saying, well, I've looked at what the CIA was doing and I've decided that they acted entirely properly and they did nothing wrong and here's the reasons why, well, that would have been a decision. You could have agreed with it, you could have disagreed with it, but it would have followed a proper process. What has happened is that Barr has already foreclosed even that from happening. So it's going to be limited to the FBI. One gets the sense that a number of people in the FBI are being set up as fall guys. Perhaps that might extend as far as Comey himself. It's becoming increasingly clear, by the way, that the FBI has been lying about the start of Russiagate. We've now had apparently confirmation from the Senate committees about text messages that passed between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. One of them dated 28th of July 2016, in which they discuss or appear to discuss ongoing counterintelligence investigations of Donald Trump and his team. The FBI has previously said that those investigations were initiated on the 31st of July 2016 under the name of Crossfire Hurricane. It seems clear now that they were actually started well before then. We don't know very much about this, so there's obviously things that went wrong there. We've also had information that Papadopoulos was under George Papadopoulos, another one of the Trump aides who was caught up in the Russiagate investigation. He was also under some form of surveillance by the FBI. They were listening into his telephone conversations. This is very strange and very mysterious because we don't yet know of any FISA warrants taken out against him. He has always said that he believed that he was under surveillance. It seems he was, but we don't know on what legal authority. So clearly there are serious issues to look into with respect to the FBI. But the FBI is only part of the story. The CIA is another part of it. So, by the way, is the NSA. It was the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA that came together and published that notorious intelligence assessment that was published in January 2017. So it's very concerning that Durham has apparently been told by Barr not to look into these questions. And that again suggests that some people in the FBI are being set up as fall guys, but a decision has been made to limit the harm done to the intelligence community, which I suspect is what the Mitch McConnell side of the Republican Party also wants.
Yeah, I think that this press conference that took place, and I'm trying to. Okay, it's great what he announced about Libya, I guess, with Pan Am, and that's fine.
Well, it's history.
No one's going to talk about maybe that because the U.S. wants this terrorist, maybe we should hand over to Libya Hillary Clinton for what Hillary Clinton did to Libya. I mean, I think that would be a good move, but okay. It seems to be that maybe this press conference was the opportunity that Barr was looking for to sabotage Trump by making this announcement that he doesn't see a need for a special counsel. So he kind of, maybe he was looking for that opportunity to publicly say this, and he found it in that press conference. So now he's submarined, say a special counsel, maybe a special counsel, Sidney Powell, where there are rumors that he may appoint Sidney Powell. They've met at the White House 2-3 times now. And maybe she'd be a special counsel appointment. I'm just saying, or anybody that Trump might appoint in the next 2-3 weeks. And so he's submarined, that special counsel staying on board long term. He's done his job there. And I think another aspect, you can also say that, Biden can not only fire that special counsel because of what Barr has said, but he can also fire that special counsel because Barr has said there's no need for a special counsel, and Biden can say, well, this was also just a political act of revenge from Trump, as once again going off of what Barr said. It seems like, I don't know, maybe they were looking for that opportunity where Barr could announce this. He could say those words, no need for special counsel on Hunter Biden. Where can we place Barr so he can say no need for special counsel on Hunter Biden before he leaves on the 23rd or 24th? Yeah.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think that was exactly what that press conference was really all about. It was really about basically undermining Donald Trump going forward. Well, obviously with the election and all the things that he said about the election, but more practically by blocking once and for all the appointment of special counsel to look into the Biden issues, which, as I said, to my mind, it's a no-brainer. There most definitely should be special counsel. I think I said on a program that we did recently that I would be worried, concerned if there was no special counsel appointed to look into it. Well, Barr has made the decision that there shouldn't be, and that leaves it open for Biden as president to say, well, since Bill Barr said that there shouldn't be special counsel, it's obvious that any appointment of special counsel to investigate my son is an act of political revenge by Donald Trump. It now makes that so difficult as to be all but impossible. I would add, by the way, just quickly touching on the Libya thing, it may interest our viewers to know that this is a very controversial decision in Britain, because there was previous prosecutions on the Lockerbie case in Britain, actually in brought before Scottish judges, that the trial, for various complicated reasons, happened in, I think it was in the Netherlands or somewhere else. But anyway, the person who was the co-accused with this particular terrorist that Bill Barr has now named, after a very, very long legal and tangled legal process, he was acquitted. He was acquitted, even though he was already dead by this point, because and allowed to return to Libya, because the British authorities decided in the end that the evidence against him wasn't strong. And many people are saying that the reason Bill Barr has now brought these charges against this other Libyan terrorist is because he was involved in the prosecutorial decisions against the first Libyan terrorist, the Libyan terrorist that the British acquitted, and that he's now bringing these extra charges against this person who he says was a co-conspirator on the acquitted terrorist, in order to somehow vindicate his own actions way back when the first prosecution was brought. So it's been criticized here in Britain as a self-interested prosecution. Bill Barr trying to protect his reputation. I just mention all of this. The key point is this is history. What went on in Libya back in the 1980s, and in Lockerbie, it's a long time ago. Many people died. It was a great tragedy, but it's not of immediate concern now. What he has done with spiking the idea of special counsel to investigate the Biden to conduct the Biden investigations, and with restricting Durham's remit to just the FBI, I would say that was extremely serious indeed. And I'm afraid it's going to have a very bad effect on these investigations going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was a deep state chess move instigated by Barr, and now we'll see what the Trump team's chess move is to counter this move.
Well, indeed, because that is, of course, the other side, which is they always, in the end, underestimate Trump. I think he will push hard over the next couple of weeks to appoint special counsel to investigate Biden. It'll be interesting to see who is, if that appointment is made, who is picked for it. And I think that there are some Republicans in Congress who will react badly if Biden sacks that special counsel. And I think it will actually play into a narrative of Biden protecting himself and being protected by the establishment. You know, you can play chess, but human beings are not chess pieces. And this is a mistake that these sort of deep state manipulators always make, because they lose contact with larger society. And I think a lot of people up and down the United States will see these comments of Barr as basically protecting Biden. And they will also see any attempt by Biden to sack any special counsel appointed as Biden protecting himself. And I think Biden's political enemies in the Republican Party and Donald Trump himself will actually be able to make use of it, despite all the attempts by Barr to make that impossible. So I think this is, again, a clever move, but ultimately one which is too clever. And Barr is a very clever man. He knows what he's doing, but he's not someone who's ever, as I understand it, stood for electoral office. So I don't think he understands how voters, how people up and down the United States think about these things.
All right, we'll leave it there. Alexander Barr, thank you very much. Guys, go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, check us out on BitChute. And Patriotic Legacy, Duran 20. Right there, you can pick up the Patriot Beacon. That's the contest, 20% off. Use code Duran 20 for that. It is the Swiss Army knife of flashlights. And you, in the contest, you're entered to win a blue camouflage Patriot Beacon 3, as well as a Duran shirt. And please go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch. We got all kinds of great stuff for you guys.
We certainly do. Mugs with the flag of the United States, as you see here. Amazing, amazing hats like this one. And obviously, we've got truckers' hats and baseball hats and lots of hats and sweatshirts and hoodies and stickers. And the people who buy from our shop are thrilled by the quality of the products we provide them. We aim always for quality as a sign of our respect for our viewers. And please search us out on our other platforms, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and support us also on PayPal and subscribe Star and Patreon, because we depend on your support and we look forward to see you again on our next program.
All right, Alexander Barr, thank you very much. Take care, everybody.